Welcome back to Buzz Recaps. Today I will explain a romantic drama mystery movie. Before moving ahead, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. The movie begins in 1979. A woman named Alice was moving toward a mental hospital. The man who was leaving her in the hospital was afraid that Alice would not be able to live alone in that place. Meanwhile, Alice told him to go home without any worries. After some time, Dr. Theodore was told about the new patient named Alice, and he was given a letter in which Dr. Donadio wrote that Alice was sick, so she should be admitted to the hospital. Donadio also wrote that Alice's ability to lie is dangerous, and even if her lie is caught, she finds another way to prove it right. Theodore started interrogating Alice, and then Alice told him that she hated her husband, Helio. She said that she is a private investigator whom her husband has legally kidnapped. According to Alice's file, she tried to kill Helio 3 times, so she was sent here. However, Alice lied to him. She said she would not take the crime on her head because her husband was planning to imprison her in the hospital, and he tried to kill her. At that time, Alice met Dr. Castell, while Alice wanted to meet Dr. Samuel Alvar, but to her bad luck, Samuel was on leave for 2 weeks. Castell starts telling Alice everything about the hospital, and she starts feeling that Alice is not sick. He allowed Alice to keep only 1 book and left her in her room. After the hospital lights went out, Alice's truth came out. She has come to the hospital of her own free will because she wants to know the truth about the death of a patient named Damien. She has come to investigate the case on the orders of Damien's father, Del Olmo. Along with Alice's story, this story is also of Samuel, who found a patient's dead body in this hospital. Later, Alice was scared to see the patients around her, and one day, a patient named Ignacio came to her who did not look sick at all. Meanwhile, a dwarf man named Noam also came to Alice who misbehaved with women, and a man named Elephant kept him safe. Later in the day, Ignacio told Alice that Samuel was now the director of the hospital, and while talking to Samuel, Alice's eyes fell on 2 twin brothers named Romulus and Remus who were born in that hospital. Romulus copies people all day and Remus can't speak. Romulus believes that he also has a younger sister, and to protect his sister, he can even kill people. On the other side of the story, Samuel called the police to the hospital, and when the police saw the dead body, they understood that it was a murder. On the other hand, in an attempt to find the killer of Damien, Alice starts talking to each patient. Meanwhile, she finds out that Romulus hates Noam. He wants to keep his imaginary sister away from him, and that's why he always fights with Noam. After some time, Alice was taken to Dr. Caesar, who wanted to know more about Alice's illness. After questioning, he began to feel that Alice was not actually sick. The next day, he talked to Alice again, and this time, while talking, Alice cleverly took the bathroom keys from Caesar. She diverted the people from the hospital to the bathroom, and she went to the storage room and found Damien's file there. She suspected that Ignacio could be Damien's killer. On the other side, patients were questioned to find the killer at Samuel's behest, and the doctors found out that Ignacio had blood on his hands. That same night, a forensic expert came to the hospital, and Remus watched her do her job. Romulus became friends with Alice in a few days. After coming away from him, Alice began to question Ignacio again. Alice suspected that Ignacio had killed Damien because Ignacio also had the disease that Damien's killer had. Alice did not know that water was also lethal for Ignacio. When she found out about his condition, she understood that he could not kill Damien. Later, Alice tells Ignacio the whole truth and says that she had come here to find the killer only because of Damien's father. Meanwhile, everyone thought that his death was just a suicide. Ignacio told him that Damien had schizophrenia, and that he always had a fight with his gums. That's why one day, Alice decided to follow Gums. On the other side of the story, Samuel found out that a patient was missing from the hospital. He told the inspector to keep the matter of murder in the hospital, because he may have to suffer because of the missing patient. On the other hand, following the Gums, Alice reached a jungle where Romulus appeared in front of her. Romulus took her to a small hut with him where he spent time with his imaginary sister. Romulus said that Alice is his mother, and she will have to live with him forever. Suddenly, she heard a voice in the jungle, and Alice followed the voice and went into the middle of the jungle. Then, unexpectedly, Noam attacked Alice, and Alice fainted. Later, when Alice came to her senses, she found out that she had killed Noam. Alice remembered that, however, she said that there was someone else in the jungle at that time. At that time, Samuel came there and started interrogating Alice. Meanwhile, Alice always wanted to meet Samuel because she thought he was a friend of Del Olmo, and he knew everything about Alice's purpose. However, Samuel refused to believe her purpose, and he also refused to consider Alice a private investigator. Meanwhile, Alice tried to talk to her husband Helios, and Samuel did not let her talk. which made the matter worse, and they started fighting. Alice was isolated due to the attack on Samuel, and she came to her senses after 3 days. At that time, Castell found out the truth about Alice, and she was ready to help her. Later, with the help of Castell, Alice gets a chance to meet all the doctors. She told the doctors that Helios did not know Alice was in this hospital, and she said that everything she said to Theodore was a lie, and Helios actually loves her very much. She was deliberately pretending to be crazy so that she could be patient and she could easily complete her investigation. She further said that Del Olmo himself had come to drop her in the hospital, and he wanted the truth of his son's death to come out. Moreover, Helios knew Del Olmo, and through him, Alice got her case. For several months, Alice worked on this case, and then she decided to come to the hospital as a patient. Del Olmo had told Alice that Samuel knew the truth and would help her. Not only that, Alice had also written a letter to Dr. Donadio with the help of which she was considered crazy. Some doctors wanted to believe Alice, while some still did not believe what she said. And Alice believed that the day Helios found out that Alice was in the hospital, Samuel would have to send her back home. When Caesar and Castell started supporting Alice, Samuel told them that Alice had found out that Helios was with her for her money. That's why she tried to kill Helios. He also said that she is a dangerous woman whose truth came before Helios. Then, she decided to admit Alice to the mental hospital. When Alice found out about that, her mind started changing and she started writing a story of Damien's murder. By doing that, she started forgetting her truth. After a while, Ignacio came to meet Samuel, and he said that he had seen everything between Noam and Alice with his own eyes, and Alice just wanted to save herself. At that time, an older man was also present there who wanted to meet Alice. Meanwhile, Alice thought that man was a policeman. He was told that Helios was not receiving anyone's calls and that Dr. Donadio was also in another country. Now the witness of Alice's story is only Del Olmo, who had sent Alice to this mental hospital. But Alice found out that the stranger standing next to her was the real Del Olmo, and the man she thinks is Del Olmo is someone else. This truth forced Alice to lose her mind, and everyone believed that Alice's story was false. Alice was now treated like a stubborn patient, and she was also given shock therapy. She wanted to know who that older man was, and she started believing that Helios had played a game of making Alice crazy. Alice thought that everything was going according to her plan. However, in reality, she was just a pawn. Caesar and Castle still wanted to help Alice, and they wanted to get her out of that prison where patients were tortured. When Caesar and Castell talked to Alice, she understood that perhaps Samuel was also involved in the plan, and they now had to find evidence. On the one hand, Castell was looking for evidence in the hospital. On the other hand, Caesar was getting help from the police. After some investigation, Castell got the check as evidence, which Helios had given in the name of Samuel. Samuel said that the money was a donation to the hospital. Samuel fired Castell from his job that day, and when he went to look for Alice, he couldn't find her anywhere. Caesar told the police inspector about Alice, but no one wanted to believe him without evidence. On the other hand, Alice managed to hide from the hospital staff with the help of Ignacio, and started planning to escape from that place. Later at night, Alice set the hospital workshop on fire, and Caesar entered Alice's house on the other side. According to Alice's plan, Ignacio got sick, and he started trying to touch the water. He pulled the attention of the staff towards him, and took all the patients out of their cells, and the whole hospital was in chaos because of the fire. In the meantime, Alice stole some clothes from the laundry room, and at that moment an elephant appeared in front of her, and Alice ran away from there. Suddenly, Ignacio found out that Romulus had been murdered and Samuel was called there as soon as possible. Then, the story began, which was shown at the beginning of the second story. At Caesar's behest, the police came to the hospital and Alice kept trying to escape from the hospital. However, the forensic expert Lucia came in front of her. Alice succeeded in her escape, and at that time she found out that they had found a dead body in Romulus's cell, and she came back in. Alice made Lucia unconscious and took her place and was brought in front of Samuel as if Lucia was a patient. After a while, Alice appeared in front of them in the guise of Lucia, and she said that the autopsy of Romulus had identified her. Moreover, Romulus had killed Noam to save Alice, and the elephant had seen him doing that. The elephant has taken Romulus's life to take revenge, and Alice's theory was proven right. After the elephant's arrest, Alice told the police that she was being kept there by force. The police believed Alice, however. They could not get her released. Castell said that he had filed a complaint against Samuel in the medical board, and a meeting would be held the next day in which Alice would be released. In the end, the truth came out that the boy whom the elephant killed was not Romulus, but his brother Remus, who never spoke anything. In the middle of the fight, Romulus asked his brother to stay in his cell. so he considers himself responsible for his death. Soon, the time came for Alice to be released, and some questions were asked in the meeting. Hearing Alice's answers, every doctor except Samuel agreed to release Alice. Samuel left the hospital forever, and then he said that Dr. Donadio, the doctor who had given Alice a letter to be admitted, was present in that hospital. Alice was surprised to hear that, and the truth of Dr. Donadio came out in front of everyone. Dr. Donadio is the same man who had sent Alice to that hospital, and the man whom Alice thought was Del Olmo. Donadio knew that Alice really had a mental illness, and she was lying to herself and the world. With that, the movie ends here. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time. Take care.